I recently been let go. What was your mindset? How did you handle it? And then what's your advice?
I always thought after working in Olympic sports, I'd be set even if this happened. It's always an expectation in high level sport. At some point, your shelf life with any one team expires, and I knew that if we didn't qualify, there was a chance that this would happen. But having those expectations ahead of time didn't really help. Once it happened, it was really, really hard. It was difficult not being able to help pay the bills. It was difficult because of COVID and everything that everybody else went through. And also just, part of it was COVID, but going for a long period of time without landing on your feet, you start to wonder, do I need to change jobs? That was a very serious consideration for a while. Should I just change career paths? And honestly, that was part of my motivation for going to school was, at least I could have this fallback plan in academia. Albeit I think the academic world would tell you that COVID hit them pretty hard as well, and it's not that easy to find a job. But yeah, it's actually like a really stressful thing to go through. There's never a guarantee that you're going to get another job. I applied to probably 450 jobs. I got 3 callbacks, and one of them I was told I didn't have enough baseball experience, ironically. I'm not going to mention who that was.
Eating their hat now, motherfucker.
And there were some others, some interesting situations there. But, at the end of the day, it's like, are you overqualified for a position? Are you underqualified for a position? Those are real things that people look at. And then also, who do you know? And then the whole stigma of like, am I getting pegged as being the field hockey guy? Because I don't look at myself that way. That's a place that I worked and I enjoyed it. But, that's a weird thing that strength coaches run into for sure.
Oh, definitely. Right now, I'm getting that
that's
one a lot.
in terms of the field hockey guy stuff.
No, I'm the rugby guy. When I was in field hockey, I was the rugby guy. Now I'm in football and I'm the rugby guy. Soccer for the Americans. And then,
how do you guys handle that? I mean, I'm the football guy now, right? Like the American football guy, but like again, same thing. I've worked in multiple sports. Any of our listeners out there, I mean, a majority of our population is football guys, quote unquote, or basketball. Like both of you, what do you recommend to them to be able to adapt? I mean, Nick, you've clearly been able to do it and win a World Series. Fernando, you're working over in the highest level of soccer. Like,
yeah, but then when I'm in rugby, I'm like the tiny guy, so I think it's just a problem with me.
and this is now, Nick, you're now going to be interviewing Fernando and helping him out.
Yes.
Okay, no
Please,
problem.
advice.
I kind of look at that whole thing as like it's a false appeal to false authority, if you will. Like people will say, well, you haven't been here long enough, or you don't understand the sport because you didn't play it. Well, I did play baseball for like 10 years. I stopped when I was 12, but I'm also capable of using my eyeballs and my brain and looking at what's happening and assessing things. And you wouldn't say to an orthopedic surgeon that, oh, you're not a field hockey guy, therefore you can't, reconstruct the ACL on a field hockey player. Strength coaches are not specialized in that regard. We're specialized in the human body. So to me, that's all just nonsense, and it is something that, depending on your venue, people will use against you. There's certainly efficacy to working in a sport long enough to gain a much more in-depth understanding, but I think more of that value comes from the relationships you've created with the people within your organization, and without those relationships, you can't really affect change. That doesn't mean somebody coming from the outside is any worse off. And I would also say, if you hired me to do a job, then you shouldn't have done that if you don't trust me to do that job. And sometimes it's better to have a set of eyes coming from the outside. What do they call it? The Einstein effect, where people become so specialized in a certain area, and if everybody on your team is so specialized in the same area, then you fail to come up with multiple solutions for any single problem. And to be able to have a breadth of knowledge is as important or more important than to have depth of knowledge in any one specific area. And so to me, that's almost a compliment when somebody says, you know, oh, you don't know this sport, or you don't come from this area. It's like, yeah, but you know, I've worked with about 1,000 different populations, and that's sort of where my edge comes from.
Amen. That was unbelievable. I never kind of thought about it that way. I think your analogy with the surgeons, where'd you come up with that? Where'd you hear that?
Honestly, I may have come up with that on my own. I don't really know. I've heard this stuff, you know, for a while now myself and from other people, and you know, I don't know. The strongest pact seems to be college football, and you know, guys are like, oh, you're not a college football guy. I don't even know what that means. Like, I don't scream enough. I'm not. And I don't have you know, discipline and attitude in my Twitter bio. Yeah, I mean, it's all silliness.
You know, clearly you were able to turn that, you know, firing into something positive with the Astros. You know, you went across high level organizations, so that I'm assuming you weren't quote unquote intimidated, but you know, sometimes I've spoke with strength coaches where they're like, oh, you know, I see that logo MLB or NFL and it kind of intimidates them. To our listeners out there that maybe that's to them, what would be your piece of advice on being able to talk with those high level executives in, you know, pro sports?
They don't know any more about the world that we work in than we do. And good organizations, the highest level people recognize that. And again, they're hiring you and trusting you to do your job and give them advice. And you just have to trust what you believe in and have some conviction in what you're doing. Ultimately, the job is from a training standpoint, it's no different in professional baseball than it is in college or high school baseball. We sign kids as young as 16. We got guys that are as old as 40. So you're looking at the same concept of long-term athletic development. You're looking at the same levels of emotional maturity from the young guys, and it's the principles remain the same, right? Younger guys are going to need probably more general training as guys get older and their training ages get higher, and you know, if they become a quote unquote an old player in the league, their bodies might be a little banged up, then you have to get a little bit more dialed in with what you're doing.
Congratulations on making it to the end of the video. Why don't you celebrate by watching more videos just like it? You can also help us on our quest to placate the algorithm gods by liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting. Thank you.